Hi, I'm Jordan Luke Collier, and this channel is all about the psychology of seduction, the mysticism of romance, and the adventure that is intimate relationship. Now this video is for the men out there in long distance relationships who absolutely do not like using Skype. So this might touch on a lot of people. Very curious to share this and hope you get something valuable from it. So I got a recent question from a client, and I'm going to read this out, and I think this strikes close to the bone for many of us. He says, "Hi Jordan, my girl and I get along really well when I'm there. When I leave though, she clearly wants more phone communication than I do. I'm not a rapid phone responder and don't feel the need to talk a couple of times a day. My minimal phone communication, a few texts and a video chat a day, appears to trigger her loneliness / fear that I'll never return. How can I usher her through that he left again phase and loneliness without getting sucked into having to chat constantly and combat her sadness?" He adds, "I feel a little bit less empathy than I should perhaps, but this is the 4th time we've been apart, and I hope that by now she'd be able to handle my departure better." So we're gonna handle exactly that on this video today. So I'll start off by saying that I feel you, man. I fall into the category of man who feels absolutely free and happy in my own skin and in my own solitude, and I also prefer minimal phone contact and text contact with anyone. Not just talking about my girlfriend, but with anyone. I'm not a big phone user, I'm not a big social media user, it's just not my style. And yet at the same time, I would say this particular issue, quantity and quality of Skype communication when me and my girlfriend are at long distance, has probably been the biggest, gnawing, ongoing challenge of our entire relationship. We've been together about 20 months at the time that I record this. It's not been the biggest conflict of our relationship, because the real big ones we've come together, we've fought very strongly about, we've expressed ourselves fully about, we've understood the other's perspective about, we've had a beautiful, constructive conflict about those big issues. But this Skype one's like this medium, nagging, never-ending, ongoing issue, and it doesn't easily get resolved because it crops up when we're in different parts of the planet. So, the medium that we've got to talk to each other through, the Skype format, is itself the medium that causes the conflict. We're not there face to face. So much of the communication is left out, and so my need to get off Skype is basically showing up when we're in the middle of that conflict. It's been tricky, but I feel like we've had an enormous breakthrough on this front recently, so I want to share my latest insight with you. Now in this video I've got 2 levels of insight, let's say. The first one is the more superficial layer, let's say, but can be very useful. It's almost a universally acknowledged truth that we all have different personality types, and we all need communication and connection in different ways. The feminine type, more often, just wants to get on that phone and connect, doesn't give so much hierarchy or preference to what kind of connection takes place, but she wants to come on the phone and share about her day, who she's been speaking to, what her day-to-day struggles are, what she's been thinking and feeling, and for her, that's the kind of connection she wants. When I'm in my masculine frame of mind, and I really get into a masculine frame of mind when I'm not with her and alone, like I'm tackling my work and being extremely productive and efficient, I want to get on the phone and I want to go somewhere. I want to do something, I want to achieve something, I want to have a depth of connection or a feeling of love or an advancing in the relationship or a big logistical challenge resolved. So I want to come off of that hour-long Skype conversation feeling like that was a good investment of my time. So just to set it up, we've got very competing differences in terms of what we want and what we need from our Skype communication. What I have found really helps out a lot, from my point of view, is to bring some kind of plan to those conversations. And so if it's late at night and I'm tired or I'm already running on some of my worst energy, I'll just pick up the phone and talk to her. I won't have much of a direction or much of a plan or anything to talk about or do with her. Instead, she'll start talking about my day, her day, and I'll start feeling myself get drained. However, when I do show up to the phone call in my best energy, in one of the better periods of the day, and I have a sense of a plan for the phone conversation, doesn't mean we have to do the plan, but just I'm ready on the phone and I've got something to offer or a little adventure to take us on. It seems to end with both of us feeling good, because she didn't just get connection, but she got my best presence, and I feel like I got something tangible and rewarding from the conversation. So what kind of plans can we bring to the Skype conversation? If you have any kind of meditation that you and her do, if you have any kind of tantric rituals that the two of you can do, that's a very easy and beautifully deep way of spending some time together. You can do an exercise or practice like that. If you don't have that, maybe in another video I'll share some of the things that I commonly do, which bring about a deep sense of really quick, really fast connection. I've had, literally for all of my resistance towards phone calls, I've had Skype conversations with my woman where both of us have opened, we've both cried tears, we've both felt in ecstasy, the sexual energy has come really strongly between us, and it's been like a complete adventure without being in the same room, without being able to touch. So amazing things are able to happen on a Skype conversation if you create the space in the right way and if you offer a kind of framework. The other thing that you can do that doesn't need you having, a tool bag full of practices and meditations is you could say, hey, tell me 3 things that you're excited about right now. Or tell me 3 things that you miss the most about us being together. Or tell me something you're excited about or afraid of or scared of or angry about or really want to do in your life right now you have a strong desire for. Any of these things that constitutes a little bit of sharing or a little bit of a game and invites both of you to talk about something a bit deeper, a bit more touching, a bit more important maybe than the general day-to-day what's been going on, seem to take our conversations to much more fruitful places and leave both of us feeling enriched after the call. So tip 1, whatever it is and however you do it and whether you do it or not, it's really good for us as men on these Skype conversations to have some sense of plan or just some feeling that, yeah, here I am on the driver's seat and I'm going to go somewhere with you today. Now, the second layer of this conversation is a much deeper one, and this might be challenging to hear and give you something to think about. Because really, what I read in your message, the way that you send it to me and what's happening in that dynamic of you spend a couple of months together, then you spend a few months apart, spend another few months together, and then apart, you've got this relationship which is sometimes all in and then sometimes much less in. And so the question is a question of commitment. And when you say that she suffers loneliness and anxiety and crying and all of that, I wonder that in her mind she's got big questions that she needs answered. Like, who are you? Are you coming back? What's your level of commitment? Can I lean on you fully as your woman and let myself go and trust you? Or do I have to keep myself back a little bit and take care of myself? Like, how much of a relationship are we actually in? And that's the question for you to go away and really, really think about and get some clarity on and discuss with her. Because this is what I found in my relationship that was really, really it's not an easy thing to get to. It's the kind of deep level tectonic plate of what's happening between two people. If we're in a relationship and one person is doing their thing and the other person is doing their thing, and we get together when we like it or when it's convenient, that's one entity of relationship. But if both of you are fully in and working as what is called a 2-person psychological unit, then that's going to be a much different thing. So if you're two kind of individual psychological units, let's say, living your lives, your main responsibility is to take care of your own emotional state, your own needs, your own anxieties. And as a independent, autonomous, traveling man, we are very adept at doing those kinds of things. And if you've attracted a woman who feels much more secure and like her needs are taken care of when she's in connection with a man or with her intimate partner, then she's always going to be wanting more connection, and you're always wanting to get away, not because she's clingy or evil or bad or anything like that, because that's what it takes for her to soothe her nervous system. She literally feels more calm, more grounded, more like everything is okay in the world if she has enough of an attachment to you and feels enough of your open presence. The tricky thing for the more autonomous traveling man is that for us to feel calm, grounded, and like everything is right with the world, we do that work for ourselves. We feel better actually when we're alone, and then we can come back to a state of calm. So the relationship is built on a bit of a wonky footing, really. That dynamic is guaranteed to be unsatisfying to you because she always wants more connection, but also unsatisfied to her because every time she wants connection, she inevitably pushes you away, and so on and so on. So, of course, there are ways round working with this. You just recognize that there's that wonky bridge thing happening. And what happened for me was, like, rather than seeing her as controlling or demanding, which I sometimes did think, and made me not want to come on the Skype call because, hey, let me have my freedom. I'm entitled to my freedom. I don't want to Skype all the time. When I started to see that actually just 20 minutes or something like that of my real heart-open presence is enough for her to really calm down, feel herself again, feel empowered, and then sometimes she actually wants to get off the phone first to go and do something else. And so just to see us, rather than being two individuals that are fending for ourselves, that come together when we want to, but we are actually a team and a unit, and our job is to take care of each other's systems, each other's nervous systems, and soothe and help regulate each other's emotional needs. All of a sudden, my heart was filled with a lot more compassion. I had a lot more empathy. I found myself naturally willing to be there in a much deeper way for her. And the funny thing is that it hasn't actually required more of a time investment on my part of things. It improves the quality of my presence when I'm there with her, and it makes the relationship a lot more stable and secure. So this literally, as soon as I had these insights, the way that I would approach my girlfriend on a Skype call changed overnight. Things really shifted pretty quickly. But the question goes out to you, essentially, what is the depth of commitment to your intimate relationship? Are you two separate individual units doing your thing until you get back together a couple of times a year? That's totally fine. Just be very clear about that, and then each of you can find different ways of getting your needs met. If you decide that you're in it together and you want to build this two-person unit where both of you are, lookout buddies for each other, helping each other ride the stresses and anxieties of life and building that sense of home together, it's a much deeper kind of relationship where you're building home, then get clear and understand whether that's what you're doing or not, and let your woman know what you're available for and how you're going to show up. There is a qualitative difference in how both of you will feel when you're in that two-person unit system versus the two separate entity in a relationship system. And it will require more commitment, and at the same time it's solved many of our wonky bridge problems by having that kind of clarity between my girlfriend and I. So I hope this is useful. I hope it's given you food for thought. I'd love to hear how this affects things, even if it's mentally. Leave a comment down below. If you put any of this into practice and things shift subtly, definitely let me know about that in the comments below. I'd love to hear how this suggestion has gone down with you. again, I don't want to say that deep commitment monogamy is, you know, becoming that one unit is better or preferential. What I want to do is illustrate that there are actually different grades of commitment that you can go down. You go up and down those grades of commitment when you feel ready for them, but it's not an all or nothing thing. You get to really design what works best for you. And fundamentally, if you end up with a woman who needs a level of connection that you're unwilling to give, it's probably better to know that sooner rather than later, so you don't take her down the path of expectation and then, you know, both of you ending up in a world of pain later on that could have been avoided by being a bit clearer up front. Anyway, if you like the video, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, because I'm going to be putting out many more like this on a weekly basis. We're going to be talking all about the psychology and the spirituality of seduction, romance, and intimate relationship. So I'm Jordan. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you soon.